And we are live for the seventh episode of the Bronx Babble podcast. I am your host, Matt, Luz, Luigi, and yes, that is right. We have another new co-host tonight to introduce. Say hello to Aaron Carroll, AC, straight out of Texas. What's up, AC?
What's up, guys? How are we doing tonight?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. In the midst of March Madness, we are currently recording while UNC is getting their hopes taken from them
I'm
very
sorry, Chad.
quickly. Sorry, Chad. We're really sorry about that. But yeah, so we decided to record a nice little Sunday episode. A lot going on in the Yankee universe, from guys getting called down to guys making adjustments at the plate and hitting home runs like Greg Bird. There's a lot going on in the Yankee world. But as you know, when someone new is on the show, they have to give us their least favorite Yankee and their hot take. So AC, let's start off with your least favorite Yankee of all time.
Yeah, it was actually this was a tough one for me. It was between two guys, but one just kind of stands out above the rest, and that's got to be Chris Capuano. Um, you go back to I think it was 2015, and pretty sure his ERA was close to 8, and a whip of almost 2. And I just remember every time he would take them out, I couldn't believe that Girardi was letting this guy eat innings for. I mean, he was just atrocious. One of the worst pitchers, one of the worst seasons, I guess I should say. And obviously, once the Yankees got rid of him, I was thrilled because he was awful.
Yeah, he was definitely, by the time we got him, it was definitely a far cry from his Brewers days where he was actually a pretty decent pitcher for them. But yeah, by the time we got him, it was rough. He's just added to Chris Capuano just adds to the list of random veteran Yankee pitchers who were very good all stars at one point, but once they got to the Yankees, were just I could use a lot of words. I'm just going to use the word bad. So yeah, Chris Capuano, I didn't expect that, honestly. I was definitely a few more least favorite Yankees I could think of, but I like it.
The
I
thing
like it.
about Chris is he would go out and he was lucky to get to the second inning, and it just there was no motion. It was like no big deal. I'll be back in 5 days to do the same thing. You know what I mean? It just I don't know. It just for me, it was always so frustrating. There's one specific game that sticks out to me, and I don't remember what it was, if it was between a couple different guys, but Girardi decided to throw him against the Texas Rangers. I think we got down like 8-0 or something like that. That was that crazy comeback we won. It was I don't know, we put up like 15 runs or something like that, ended up winning. But that's just, I mean, I'm sure from an offensive standpoint, anytime you see Capuano taking the mound at that point in his career, you knew you were going to have to go out and score at least 10 runs to be in the game. So, yeah, for me, it's got to be my least favorite Yankee.
Hey, well, Chris Capuano, I was just about to say, guys like Chris Capuano who never had overpowering stuff in their prime and then fail to reinvent themselves fall quickly into obscurity. Because look at a guy like CeCe, guy that reinvented himself, and hey, if he didn't reinvent himself, he's out of baseball right now. But he learned how to pitch at his old age. So yeah, Chris Capuano, it's AC's least favorite Yankee now. Let's have your hot take for the 2018 Yankees.
Yeah, so for this one, I've heard your guys' hot takes pretty good. For me, I've got to say, I think I'm going to say by the All-Star break, Chad Green's going to be in the setup role. Obviously, I wouldn't mind being wrong. I think Dellen's obviously got the stuff to be that eighth inning guy. But I don't think, mentally, I don't think he has it in him. He might get off to a good start, but I think it's only going to take a couple bad outings until he's back to the Dellen of this last year. I just think that he's in his head too much, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Chad Green in that eighth inning role by the All-Star break.
Yeah, I've said this before, but Betances could literally have a 0.00 ERA in the last game of the regular season. I'm still going to be nervous as hell every time he goes in.
Yep.
It's just, I'll never, especially after last year. I feel like the years before, he would always have moments where they were ugly, but last year was just scarring. It was just from July on. It was like the things he did in games were just very, very scary. I don't like that trust level might never come back.
He's a guy that can, for one batter, look like the best reliever in baseball, make you just look foolish. And then the next guy throws 4 pitches to the screen. You know what I mean? It's just he's in his head so much, and that's if it was a stuff issue, okay, you take the off season, you take the spring, and you work on it. But with him, that's never been the issue. He's always been in his head, and I just think that with him, I just. Yeah, like you said, I think I'm always going to worry about him, and I think last year obviously the Yankees were overachieving in a sense. Nobody really expected that out of them. This year they've kind of got that target on their backs, and I don't think Boone's obviously going to want a guy in the 8th inning role. If he has his struggles like he had last year, I think he'll be quick to move him out of there.
Oh, absolutely, Alex. Anything, Alex? You've been a little quiet so far.
I have been a little quiet. No, I didn't want to interrupt AC's introduction here.
Yeah, you're right. I was just making sure you were still there because you never know.
I'm here.
You never know with the internet when someone just dips out real quick.
No, I'm here. Yeah, I think with Dellin, like he's just so unpredictable, and even end of like second half of 2016, it was scary every time he would come in because. After
over as the closer, right?
After Miller and Chapman were traded, he took over as the closer, and he didn't do awful, but I remember there was the one game in Fenway where the Yankees were up like 5-1 in the 9th inning, and then he just blew it and gave up a walk-off homer to Hanley Ramirez, and he just was not good after that, I remember. And ever since then, I've kind of just been very on edge every time he comes in. Even when he had like a 0.4 ERA through the first month of last year.
It goes up to like June 20th.
Yeah. He just because sometimes he just has no control over his stuff. You have no idea what to expect from him. Even if he has a month where he's really good, he'll have another month where he's really bad.
Yeah, because we've said this before on the show, but we don't know if Boone is going to want to have a set 8th inning guy, and whether that's going to be D-Rob, whether that's going to be Green or Betances or Canely or Warren. It's up to debate. Whoever is the best in that role, and whoever Boone likes the best is going to get that role. So
I'm pretty sure Michael Kay asked him, like during one of the Yes broadcasts during the game, he asked him if there would be like set roles, and he said he hadn't figured that out yet.
Yeah, it really. I was about to say, I don't think Boone even knows if he's going to have set roles. I think he's going to roll with whatever works best. So that was AC's intro. AC is a busy guy, but he's going to be on the show whenever he can. And yeah, that's our show. No, I'm just kidding. That's not our show. I just wanted to quickly say though that we do have a few UNC fans in the Bronx Bomber Ball, and they are really taking this one hard right now. UNC is down by like 21 points with a few minutes left. That's my last team in the Final Four, by the way. So my bracket's gone, but it's been a great tournament so far. But let's talk about the New York Yankees, what this podcast is actually about, and some disappointing news. Miguel Andujar, Chance Adams, Esteban Florio, all no longer with the spring training squad. Florio and Chance got sent down to minor league camp, while Andujar just got optioned to AAA. And the Andujar move was Chance getting an option to minor league camp was obviously I believe his ERA was close to 11. He looked really bad in his last spring training appearance, so that wasn't surprising. Neither was Florio, but Andujar was, from a guy at the beginning of the month, I thought that Andujar actually had a really good shot at being the starting opening day starting third baseman, and it does not look like that's the case anymore. Hopefully he could be the third baseman this summer. Hopefully he does well in AAA, but it's getting to the point where I don't even know if we're ever going to see Andujar on the Yankees roster and the MLB roster again. What was you guys' reaction to the news about the Yankee prospect being sent down?
For me, it was like all I see is that it's because of Drury, and everyone doesn't like Drury. Or shout out to Andrew, who is the world's biggest Andujar fan, and he was not happy seeing this. But for me, I really did not think it was because of Drury, because if the Yankees had not signed Neil Walker, I think the opening day lineup would have been Drury at second, Andujar at third. But they managed to get Neil Walker for $4 million, which was a really good deal considering he was looking for 2 or 3 year deal for, I don't know,
Probably 10 million a
13,
year.
yeah,
maybe a
10
little
13
more.
million a year. And Walker's one who he's had, I think it's 7 consecutive seasons of like 2+ WAR, which is not fantastic, but that's really solid. So he's been consistent his whole career, which is something Yankees probably could use when they were considering having both Andujar and Glaber as their starting second and third baseman, who have 7 at bats total in the major leagues.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
that.
think it's more along the lines of they want to just have someone who's solid and almost as a placeholder, rather than give the spot all just automatically to Andujar.
Yeah, the thing I like about him is everywhere he goes, he hits. I mean, he's only had, I know he's only had 7 at bats in the big leagues, but he's 4 for 7. So I mean, he's done everything you could ask of him. He's hit at every level in the minor leagues. But I think at this point in his career, I mean, he's so young. He's only 23. I think he's at the point where if he's not getting everyday at bats, then there's no sense in him being on the big league roster. You know what I mean? And so I think, as much as I'd like to see him start the season at third base, like Alex said, bringing in Neil Walker, that kind of, eliminated that possibility. So I think for him being in AAA, that's fine. At least that'll give him some at bats. If he gets off to a hot start, and if Walker or Drury start to struggle, obviously I think you'll see him up in New York. But I think at this point in his development, I think the more at bats, the better, as opposed to being on the big league roster and sharing time with Drury.
Now, Andujar, he started off the spring red hot, and he's kind of cooled off since. I believe his average has dipped below 300. I don't think he's hit a home run since the first week of spring. So I think if you look deep inside the numbers, I guess you could kind of understand it. But yeah, it's just it really is just once they signed Drury, we thought that was the red flag warning.
Yeah,
really,
that was the nail in the coffin.
It really was when they signed Walker, because if they have, like Alex said, if they just get Drury, then you're probably looking at Andujar and Drury starting. But
right.
Neil Walker, like we said on the last episode about Neil Walker, he's very consistent. I don't think Neil Walker has ever hit above 290 or below 250, and I don't think he's ever had less than like 10 home runs or more than 21 home runs, like something like that. So he's almost guaranteed to hit 260, 270, 15, 20 home runs. And I think Cashman probably looked at that and said, hey, if we know we're getting that, we got to take that, because we don't. Tyler Wade, if we put him out there for over 100 games, he could hit 170 with 5 home runs for all we know. Gleiber's probably not going to be ready out there. So I think Cashman and I think the Yankees, they want sure answers. And really, Andujar and all these young guys are just too big of questions right now for Cashman, these guys, to put their trust in them opening day. And it really is. It's disappointing that it's like that, but that's what it is. And I think they've made that very clear the last couple of weeks.
It makes sense though, just because the Yankees
it absolutely does.
They're going for the World Series this year. That's what they're going for, and having 2 rookies or 2 young guys that are very unproven is not exactly the best plan, where that could go really well or it could go wrong. Really wrong for them.
Exactly. That's that's the thing with Andujar. Andujar and Gleiber have higher ceilings than Neil Walker and Brandon Drury, but they also have much lower floors. They also have a much larger margin of error that Drury and Walker don't have. Guys that have more than a few hundred major league at bats. So,
and I agree with that as well. But at the same time, this Yankees lineup is so deep that I think that would take so much pressure off these young guys to get in there, get acclimated. Last year with Judge, Obviously the year before with Gary, there wasn't a lot around those guys. But I think you could easily put a guy like Andujar in the lineup, and like I said, there wouldn't be a lot of pressure on him because it's such a deep lineup. But obviously, this is the move they made, and so. But I do think we'll see him up there, or at least I hope we'll see him up at the big leagues at some point. Obviously, this season.
Yeah, because just think of it. Where was Judge last year when he began the year? He was hitting eighth, and I think we all know this if you've ever played baseball, when you're hitting eighth or ninth, even at the major, I know it's obviously different at a high school level and a major league level, but when you're hitting eighth, you're getting a lot more pitches to hit than when you're hitting third or fourth. And if you put a young guy up there, like let's say even a guy like Clint or Andujar, if they're what we think they are, they could have a really hot April because they're just going to be getting a lot of pitches to hit and not being at the top of the order, because once pitchers are by that top five in the Yankees, they're just going to almost make a sigh of relief. And having guys like Neil Walker down there instead of Andujar just doesn't exactly strike the same fear. So we'll see how what plays out. And I think the thing we're all forgetting and the thing we never wish to happen is, hey, someone's going to get injured, right? Especially, the more veterans you sign, the more likely that there's going to be injuries. So I think that's going to be when we're going to see either Andujar or Wade get a real shot, is when someone goes down with an injury, and who that is and when that will be, who knows? Because Neil Walker, the one reason I think I've kind of come around to the Walker signing is the fact that he's probably going to be our backup first baseman. And, that's a pretty good backup first baseman to have if he could play a solid first base. So let's move on to the starting rotation has been announced. I believe it was a few days ago that Boone basically said, here's the rotation. It will be Luis Severino, obviously, as the ace. Masahiro Tanaka will be the 2. Now, here's what I don't know about you guys, but I was surprised to see this. CeCe will be 3, Sonny Gray will be 4, and obviously Gumby will be the 5.
That surprised me.
Yeah, I was...
Especially since Gumby's the one that's starting the home opener. So it's not like they switched it around. So like Gray would be starting the home opener, CeCe would be starting Toronto. It's just they have CeCe 3rd and Gumby 4th.
I was about to say, because I heard that too. And I also heard something about CeCe saying that, it's not like he doesn't, especially with his knees and his old age, like it's not ideal for him to pitch in Toronto with the turf. But, if he's the number 3 guy, I believe we have a 3-game series to open up the year in Toronto.
I think it's 4.
So okay. Well, that makes sense that Gumby's starting the whole. Okay, that makes sense. I was about to say, like, wait a minute. but yeah, I was like, look, because we said at the beginning of the year, it's going to be a 3-horse race for the Yankees ace, right? Like, obviously it's Severino right now, but, 2016 Severino wasn't that long ago. So there's always a
2016 Tanaka wasn't long ago either.
Yeah, exactly. So both versions of those guys, if 2016 Tanaka shows up and 2016 Sevi shows up, guess what? Tanaka's the ace. But I think Gray, and a lot of people are pegging if Sonny Gray wins the Cy Young this year, it would be like the biggest mass hot take I've ever seen, because I've seen so many people say on Twitter, like, oh, Sonny
he's
Gray,
like the dark horse for the Cy Young.
He's going to win 18 games and have a 2.5 ERA. And, it could happen.
It could happen, but...
the fact that he's the number 4 guy to start the year, and, I know, like we said, Judge started last year batting 8th. Sevy started last year fighting for a rotation spot. Like, where you start the year really doesn't mean a lot. But, I don't know. I was just very surprised to see, wow, you guys have CeCe as your number 3 pitcher. I just was very surprised by that. So, guys, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that it's not really going to have that much of an impact in the long run.
Right. No, it's more of like the notion, right? It's more
I think it's more of their respect and their faith in CeCe, who really he's reinvented himself, and he's been really good the last 2 years. So, and Gray was good for the Yankees last year. But he also had his moments where he was, not wonderful. And he still has a little bit to prove for the Yankees, where CeCe, the last 2 years, has been really consistent. So I think it's surprising, but it's also, I can understand it.
Yeah, and I mean, Sonny Gray really what did he have? Only 1 or 2 starts last year in the postseason. He really wasn't used
I'm gonna
much.
say, yeah, it was game 1 of the ALDS, and then
That was it.
I want to say it was game 4 of the ALCS.
Yeah, I think he might have had another one, but yeah. So I thought I was just very surprised by that because yeah, CC just doesn't have look, Sonny is in the race to be the guy for the Yankees, and CC isn't. CC, no matter what he does, he just does not have the physical capabilities to be the Yankees ace, especially once October comes, man. You know, people don't realize how long an MLB season is especially for a 37, 30. CC's going to be 38 this year. So,
yeah, I guess, I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe one, it kind of stretches out the rotation a little bit. If you think about a series maybe ending with Tanaka and then a 3-game series coming up, you're still throwing out a guy with number 1, number 2 type stuff and Sonny, obviously. Only other thing I could think of is maybe splitting up the lefties in the rotation. But I mean, ultimately, I mean, that's not a bad I mean, that's a pretty good starting 5, obviously. CC, like you said, I mean, he really kind of regressed over the last several years, and then obviously these last 2 years, seen some good things out of him, kind of more breaking balls and off-speed pitches. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it doesn't really matter where they're slotted. I think having a guy like Sonny Gray in your as the number 4 guy in your rotation obviously is a luxury to have that not a lot of teams, maybe outside of like the Houston Astros, really have a guy that good in their 4 spot.
yeah, no, I agree. It really, like I said, it really, because as the year goes on, so many things could change. You could slot guys in and out, but yeah, if you would have, I would have put a lot of money on the fact that the Yankees' first 3 starters to begin the year would be Sevy, Tanaka, and Gray. But hey, I've been wrong before, has been proven by my March Madness bracket. So I was going to read some. Aaron Boone had some quotes today. I just wanted to read this because I was rolling through Brian Hoke's tweets, and I just want to let everyone know that Jacoby Ellsbury sat out today with a sore throat and a fever.
So Jacoby,
I could not stop laughing at that, man. Aaron Boone said he might get at bats in a sim game tomorrow, and when I hear Jacoby Ellsbury might get at bats in a sim game, I just think of Ellsbury firing up the PS4 and playing the game. That's like all I could think of. Yeah, and also Boone also said that Gleiber's going to split reps at AAA between second base and shortstop, and it'll be about 50-50. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I think it should be more than 50-50 because I get he's a shortstop, but hey, man, you're not. If you're going to be on the Yankees, you're not playing shortstop for a good bit.
Well, and if anything, I could see maybe a 50-50 split between second and third. You know what I mean? But yeah, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me either.
One thing I saw that I completely forgot about that kind of makes sense if you think about it is that Didi's a free agent after the 2019 season. So, I mean, hopefully the Yankees would extend him or re-sign him, but they might just want to keep Gleyber like fresh at shortstop, just just as a precaution for the future, because he's a natural shortstop. It's way too early to.
Are you saying that Didi's going to pull a Cano?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I saw that, and I realized that like Didi's been in the league a while. Like a lot longer than you think he has been.
Breaking news: Didi Gregorius signs an 8-year,
Start spreading the news.
$315 million deal with the Miami Marlins.
Oh boy!
But really, yeah, because Didi, I mean, if he has a couple more years like he has last year, he's going to be worth quite a bit of money. And
he's going to get paid.
And yeah, man, that's far down the road, but that's a good thought. That's good thought, Alex, because. Yeah, I don't want to think of that because there was.
I don't either.
There's like an eerie sign after 2019. It's like, yeah, that's after this year. That's close.
I can't envision him sending out those tweets for any other team.
I hope not.
For real. Another note that the fact that Miguel Andujar 24 minutes after being optioned to AAA, he was named the Yankees 2017 Minor League Player of the Year.
That's awkward.
Yeah. So here's your reward: the Scranton Shuttle, a free bus pass in the Scranton Shuttle. That's your reward. Yeah. So let's move on to the Pinstripe Previews. We're gonna keep rolling with these. We're definitely, because the season starts in 12 days, and whatever Pinstripe Previews we haven't done, we're just gonna do in the big preview show. There's not too many left. Obviously saving Judge for the end. The three today we have an outfielder and we have two relief pitchers, and we're gonna start off with none other than Aaron Hicks, the former Minnesota Twin. Hicksy, 3.9. Hicks had a 3.9 WAR last year. I would have not have guessed that.
I would not have guessed that, especially with
right?
the amount of time he missed.
Right? I mean, he's just Hicks is always the guy, because people always talk about Gary Sanchez, the forgotten Yankee. Like, if you think Gary Sanchez is the forgotten Yankee, you probably watch 8 Yankee games a year, because Gary Sanchez is not the forgotten Yankee.
Any Yankees fan does not forget about Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, man. Come on. That's my point exactly. But to me, the forgotten Yankee is Aaron Hicks, because I always forget about Aaron Hicks. There will be times when I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll say the lineup and people say to me, what about Aaron Hicks? And I don't know why. I just always forget about him, because he's really just such a solid guy to have on your team. He's like that basketball player who just hits all his free throws and plays solid defense. I mean, he's an outstanding, I've said so many times on the show before, he's an outstanding center fielder. I love watching him play the outfield. He's a cannon of an arm. Does he still hold the record for like fastest recorded ball from the outfield?
I think so. Yeah, when he threw 105, I think.
Yeah, like he's just a phenomenal athlete out there. Hit 266 last year with 15 homers, 52 runs batted in. But see, this is what I like about Hicks. 372 on base percentage last year with a 266 average. That's a guy that could hit in my lineup any day. But yeah, so Hicks. Even though some writers in the BBB think that Jacoby Ellsbury is going to overtake his starting position in center field, Aaron Hicks, as for the foreseeable future, is the Yankee center fielder. So, what are you guys expecting out of Hicksy this year?
I think I'm expecting probably, I would say the same, honestly.
Yeah. I'd say it's hard to imagine much different.
It's also hard to predict what he's going to do, because he was kind of really bad in 2016, and then he came out last year, he was really good, and then he got injured, and then once he came back in August, he was good, but he wasn't as good, and a lot of his value comes from his defense, because his 3.9 WAR, a lot of that has got to be based on his defense. Because, 266, 15 homers, 372 on base percentage, that's pretty solid in 300 at-bats. But it's not, it's not outstanding. So I think he's going to get a lot of he's going to be really valuable because of his defense as a starting center fielder. But I would not be surprised if he posted a little bit worse offensive numbers. But it won't matter as much because he's just so good at defensively.
Yeah. First of all, he's got a great name, so he's got that going for him. But secondly, yeah, I think batting average obviously is one of the most overrated stats in baseball. What you've got to look at with a guy like Hicksy is his 372 on base percentage. Like you said, Luigi, that's a guy that you want hitting at the top of your lineup. That's a guy that's going to get on base. Somebody like Stanton, Judge, or Sanchez is going to hit him in. And so I think even if he gives you those numbers, or maybe something a little bit less even, I think you're fine with that. That's a guy that you can either plug him into your everyday lineup, maybe platoon with Ellsbury, as much as I hate to say that. But again, he doesn't have to put up gaudy numbers to have an impact on this team. I think if he can get on base, have a 360, 370 on base percentage, whatever his average is, I think that's a productive season for a guy like that. Kind of to Alex's point, from a defensive standpoint, obviously he's probably the best defensive outfielder that the Yankees have. And so I don't really count Gardner. I know he's got a perfect fielding percentage, but he's got a pea shooter for an arm. So besides that, I think Hicks will put up kind of like Alex said, similar numbers. Hopefully, he still stays healthy over the course of the season. But certainly a guy that you want to plug into your everyday lineup.
Yeah, and I'm taking this straight from the Pinstripe Preview on the Bronx Ball, written by our own Matt G. That Hicks before he got injured remember he was ripping the ball. He was hitting close to 300, 10 homers, 37 runs batted in, and yeah, it's a guy that just injuries always seem to plague him. I think what was an oblique injury last year? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He came back and just was not the same guy at all. But
I'll always remember him for the home run off of Kluber in that ALDS, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, he had a couple big postseason moments. But yeah, so with Hicks, I think that, like I was saying, I think Andrew was the one that suggested, because we were trying to figure out, who would be a good leadoff hitter for the Yankees, and Andrew kind of suggested Hicks, and I said that if Hicks, because right now Hicks was average sets 265 last year with 370 on base percentage. So let's say Hicks gets his average up to 280 and the on base percentage follows along. If he's hitting 280 with the on base percentage roughly around 400, he could hit at the top of the lineup for all I care. I mean, that'd
be a really good leadoff hitter.
That's a perfect leadoff hitter in my opinion. Like I'm gonna get a hat that says or a shirt that says "Do not hit Didi at leadoff" because that's the worst idea ever.
Oh yeah.
Even if Didi hits
definitely.
Let's play a game. What would Didi's batting average have to be for him to have a 400 on base percentage?
360. Wow.
I was gonna say like 355, but it legitimately might be more.
I love Didi, but he doesn't walk at all.
Yeah,
but he's really good at making contact, which he doesn't. He doesn't really walk because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But he does not walk at all.
Like Didi was literally made in the lab to be a 5-hitter. Like you just put that guy on second and third, 1 out. He's probably going to hit a ground ball and get the run in, or hit a fly ball. It's just a perfect guy you want in the middle of the lineup. I'm not going to say the worst guy at the top of the lineup, but just not.
No, he's definitely not the worst.
Ellsbury.
Austin Romine, I would classify as the worst.
There you go. Okay, I just looked it up. Didi has 136 career walks.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many games?
In 635 career games.
How many did Judge have last year?
110, I want to say.
Wow, that's a pretty incredible stat. That really is.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
he walked 25 times last year.
Oh.
Which is the third most in his career.
Like I think I speak for like all of us. We're like, growing up, like how do you not, like, you always took walks. Like when I was growing up playing baseball, like you weren't looking for a walk.
You didn't want to have a walk, but if you walked, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm on base now.
I mean, because it's almost the fact of who's that good that you're just going to be free swinging that much. Like it's crazy. But anyways, yeah. So with Hicksy, I was going to do an over and under with either batting average or home run for Hicks, but since he has so many injury issues, I'm going to do over and under for games. So, with Hicks, I believe he played in 89 games last year. He played in less than 100.
Really?
88 games last year.
Wow.
He barely played in over half the season. I mean, he was out for a while. Played in 123 in 2016, and then when he was on the Twins, he never played in over 100. So he's only played in over 100 games once. So over and under 100 games played this year for Aaron Hicks.
I'm gonna go over, but not by much. I'm gonna say like 105, 110.
It's so tough because it's almost saying like, is he gonna get injured? Because if he doesn't,
I feel like he may get an injury. But he also, there's a chance where he also might, just not get a lot of at-bats. Because say Stanton and Judge and Gardner are all hitting, and say Hicks is not doing as well, the Yankees might, bench him and have put Gardner in center and then just have Judge and Stanton in the outfield, hypothetically. So, I mean...
Well, Stanton clearly can't play left field.
Definitely.
The few appearances in spring training he's had out. Come on.
That's true. I'm sorry.
Don't you have Twitter downloaded? Come on, man. Let's be real.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go over, but like Alex said, not much. Here's the thing. The thing about Hicksy is, I mean, he was a first round, 14th, I think, 14th overall pick back in. So I mean, the talent is there. If he's hitting, he's going to be in the lineup as much as possible. Obviously, like you guys said, though, it's injuries, and so fingers crossed he plays in over 100 games. If he doesn't, then you know, I guess I don't know. We'll see. Thankfully, we got some depth. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully, at that point, we're looking at somebody else.
Yeah, for real. I'm gonna say just under. Yeah, because I'll probably I could see him playing like 90, 95 games. I just think he's gonna have it beyond the 60-day DL. Just it's just gonna happen. Guys that are injury prone usually stay injury prone, but I hope not because I really like Hicks. And I did this last show, so I'll just keep it going. Baseball Reference, the stats page they have projections for the players, and they're projecting Hicks at 250 with 14 homers and 47 runs batted in. So that's a bit of a regression, but I'd be fine if he put up those numbers. But only a 330 on base percentage, so I think they're wrong there. I think he has a higher on base percentage than that.
Yeah, he has such a good eye now that he's like Judge. Even if he's not hitting, he's still walking. That was the case like when he came back from the DL. Even though he wasn't hitting that much, he was still walking a lot.
And another thing Hicks brings to the lineup that the Yankees really one of the few things they need in the lineup is speed, because Hicks had, I think, 10 stolen bases last year before he got hurt. Once he came back from his injury, I don't think he stole any bases, but he had 10 stolen bases around halfway through the year. So if he could swipe 15, 20 bags a year, that's a solid addition to the lineup, because really, you look through 1 through 9 the Yankees lineup, there's just not a whole lot of base stealers. And I know
it's kind of Gardner, and that's it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people think base stealing is almost like a lost art, especially when you have a team that hits as many home runs as the Yankees. But I think it's very important to have at least a couple guys in your lineup that could swipe a bag, and Hicks might fit that role. So yeah, that's the Aaron Hicks preview. Let's move on. We're gonna now go to back-to-back bullpen guys. Let's start with Tommy Kahnle. Tommy Kahnle, the guy that's like people like I was like people say Gary Sanchez is the forgotten Yankee. Tommy Kahnle is the forgotten addition in that White Sox race, because people always say with D-Rob, everyone remembers we got D-Rob, but Tommy Kahnle might be the real jewel of that trade, man. Especially if D-Rob just dips after this year and we still have Kahnle. I mean, Kahnle is just he's awesome. I love Kahnle. Fun fact, Kahnle went to college in my hometown. Like, he went to small school, Lynn University. It's right by my house, and I actually won a national championship there. And I actually I'm friends with the coach's son. So little fun. I know our audience was dying to hear that, but I just had to say that little fun.
I was on the edge of my seat that whole story.
Alex, I heard Alex breathing. Yeah, no, I just had to mention that about Kahnle. Shout out to Lynn University, but. Yeah, man, he was awesome last year. 62 and 2/3 innings, 96 strikeouts, only a 1.117 WHIP. Just another guy in the Yankees bullpen that just makes you salivate every time you watch him. Was a big part of the postseason. I think he was one of the guys you could rely on in the postseason. He was pretty he had a 2.5 ERA for the White Sox, and then once he went to the Yankees, he had a 2.7 ERA. So he was pretty steady throughout the year, unlike D-Rob, who was much better for the Yankees than he was the White Sox. So, guys, what do you think Kahnle's role is going to be in this bullpen? Is he going to be I'm done talking about what Boone's going to do with the bullpen, but do you guys see Kahnle possibly being that eighth inning guy? Does he have the talent to do that?
He definitely has the talent for it. I think the Yankees would go more Dellin and Green, like AC's bold prediction. I think Kahnle is going to be more of like an earlier inning guy, like maybe 6th or 7th inning, as more of just getting out of a jam type of guy, because he's one where he can get a lot of strikeouts, but he also does not walk a lot of guys. In the entire regular season last year, he only walked, I think, 10 guys. So
yeah, he's around the plate a lot.
Yeah, he's around the plate. He can throw strikes and he can get strikeouts. So, with the Yankees, I just looked it up. He only walked 10 guys in 26 and 2/3 innings, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see him as more of like a fireman role than a set innings guy.
Yeah, 10 walks in 26 and 2/3 innings. Betances usually gets 10 walks in about 6 and 2/3 innings. So good change.
Yeah, I think obviously most ball clubs, I think would have him slotted into that 8th inning role, but the Yankees bullpen is just so deep. You got Green, you got Robertson, Betances, you got Chapman, you got Conley, you got uh, even Warren, kind of an unsung hero in the Yankees bullpen last year. It's just such a deep bullpen that I think, kind of like Alex said, maybe a 6th, 7th inning guy. If the bullpen is taxed, maybe you'll see him slot into that 8th inning role. But he definitely has good stuff. He misses a lot of bats, and that's what you want out of a guy, obviously, at the back end of your bullpen. But with how deep this bullpen is at this point, I don't think he's anything more than a 6th or 7th inning guy.
He listen to this. Last year with the White Sox in 36 innings, 60 strikeouts. That's some swing.
And 7 walks.
Yeah, that's some heat, man. God, yeah, really, because Canely, last year in the postseason, I think he might have been my fit. Like, if I had a number one option in the postseason, if I were Girardi, it would have been Canely because he was just blowing it by the Astros, and same with the Indians. But yeah, that's the question though? Is Canely going to be used more of one like a 2-3 inning guy role at a time, or is he going to be just that 1 inning at a time 8th inning guy?
I think maybe he would just be like he can come in the middle of an inning, get an out or two, and then if he's only thrown 10, 15, 20 pitches, maybe he can start another inning, maybe finish it. I wouldn't say he's like a 2-inning guy though.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I think in an ideal world, I think that your two guys that look, I love Green, but I think Green is so much better for, 2 inning at a time. Put him in the 4th or 5th inning if you need him to, throw a few innings and save your bullpen. That's the perfect role for Green. But a guy like Canely, I mean, if he's just out there for 1 inning at a time, good luck hitting him. I mean, if he gives, he's almost like Chappie, where if he gives everything into 1 inning, it's going to be awfully tough to get a hold of him. So I think in an ideal world, I would want Canely in the 7th inning, probably D-Rob in the 8th, and then Chapman in the 9th. But it's really, they're going to have to earn it because who knows if D-Rob comes out struggling or Warren we're going to talk about next. And Warren's another guy who, like you said, AC, just kind of gets forgotten as a guy that's really solid. A guy we got from the Cubs and just does what he needs to do and just doesn't really, strike a whole lot of guys out, but just gets outs, and which is very rare for relievers nowadays. It seems like every top reliever averages almost 2 strikeouts per inning. But so let's see, over and under with Tommy Canely, a 2 ERA, or no, let's go with 2.5 ERA because he's really never been in the 1 range. So over or under a 2.50 ERA for Tommy Canely this year.
I'm gonna go bold and I'm gonna say under. I feel like he's gonna be really good, and he's just gonna, the way he is, he pitches 1 inning. He has such good stuff where it's gonna be really hard to hit him. So he might have 1 or 2, like rough outings, but for the most part, I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over a 2.5, under a 3.0 though. I think, yeah, I mean he's shown he's got the stuff, but 2.5, I mean that's still getting it done. So I'm going to go just over a 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go just under because like I said, I really like Canely. I think he's going to be in that 2.2, 2.3 range. Yeah, I think he's going to be the Yankees 7th inning guy. And of course, depending if Boone uses roles, which I think he will. Boone doesn't call me crazy, but I saw Boone, a picture of Boone today, just giving an interview. And he had his hat, he was wearing his hat like a shortstop of a travel team. like off to the side. I'm just like, is this really our manager? Is this really the Yankees manager now? Like, Torrey wouldn't even have let players wear their hats like that. And then here's Aaron Boone, like just, wearing his hat to the side. But so I thought that was funny. But yeah, I don't think that Boone's going to be like overcomplicated or over analytical with the bullpen. I think he's going to have set roles. And I think Canely is going to be that seventh inning guy. And I think he's going to have a hell of a year. So let's move on to our final Pinstripe preview, a guy that we were just talking about not too long ago, Adam Warren. Look, in that forgotten Yankees section, he's another guy who really gets forgotten. And guys, real quick, what was Adam Warren's whip last year?
I'm gonna
let AC guess on this because I'm kind of looking at his baseball reference page right now.
If you're looking at it, don't say it.
Well, then I don't think either of us can answer it.
Well, his whip last year was a .87.
Dirty.
I would not have thought that. Right? Anytime you have under a 1 whip, that's nothing to mess with. You're sitting at the big boys table. And Adam Warren did that last year. 2.35 ERA, 57 in the third innings pitched, only 35 hits given up. See, the guy, he isn't flashy. He isn't overpowering. Only struck out 54 guys in those 57 in the third innings. But he gets the job done. And he's going to be a guy, I think. He's almost, like, I hate to stop. He's almost like a poor man's version of Chad Green, where he doesn't throw as hard. He doesn't, he doesn't have that same stuff, but he kind of just does the same thing where, you can rely on him to get 7-8 outs and, just be there day in, day out. A guy that's never going to get too tired, a guy that's never going to get too high or too low. Adam Warren's just a really good guy to have in the bullpen. And a guy that, honestly, I know this might sound tough, but he might be like the perfect piece to put in a trade deal. Because if you're trying to get let's say another starting pitcher or whoever, and you need one major league player to juicing up that deal, Adam Warren would be he'd be a really good eighth inning guy for a team. I mean, especially with all the bullpen guys the Yankees have, they could afford to give up a guy like Adam Warren. And another team, he'd probably be the best or maybe the second best reliever in a team's bullpen. So with Adam Warren this year, what role do you see Warren having this year? And I know I kind of, just said it, but do you guys that's what I was going to ask. I'm such an idiot. This drive really took a lot out of me. But do you guys see Warren? Because I've seen this talked about a lot. Do you guys see Warren possibly being worked in as a starter? Because that bullpen might get too packed for him. And hey, if CC or Gumby or somebody goes down or someone starts struggling, they might not want to just, bring up Sheffield or bring up, especially not Chance at this point. So do you guys see Warren possibly becoming a starter?
I don't really think they would have Warren start. I think, was it last year or not last year? Did they bring him into camp this year as a starter? Which year was that?
It might have been Green. Or no, I think
it was Green, but they brought him in. It might have been this year. They originally brought him in as a starter. No, it was last year. I'm sorry.
It was, yeah.
But yeah. And then it was kind of the case with Green this year where, he started 1 or 2 games and they're like, yeah, he's going to be the bullpen now. But I know he started in 2015 and he was actually like pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having him as trying to convert him as a starter now would be a lot more effort during the regular season just because they'd have to stretch him out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would take away a little bit of his value just because they probably, in order to stretch him out as a starter, they might send him down just so he could start a few games in AAA. So I think he's the type of guy where I think they would rather just have him in the bullpen, almost like in the role that Chad Green's in, where he can throw 1 or 2 innings. And if they needed an emergency starter, they may go to Green because he did start in spring training and he has started before. And they might do what they did last year where they had Green start a game, I think, and he only went 2 innings.
I think he went 3, but he was nasty in the time he was out there.
Yeah. So what they can do is because the bullpen is so deep and they have guys who can go multiple innings, they could just have Green go as long as he can go, and then they can stick Warren in there. And that's right there. that's 5 or 6 innings out of them.
Yeah, the reason I brought up Warren as possibly being the starter is because people wanted to do that with Green, and for me it was the point where look, Green is that nasty out of the bullpen that you really shouldn't mess with him. But Warren's very, very good out of the bullpen, but he's not like so nasty that he's you can't take him out of the bullpen. I think Warren might be the perfect guy that, like you said, like an emergency starter, like a guy that only has around 6-7 starts over the course of the year. Like I would much rather see Warren in that role than Green, because if, like you said, if Green, like what he did last year, if he's like the emergency starter, that means he's not going to be in the bullpen for a good 3 or 4 games after that. So I don't know. I think Warren is if he stays on the Yankees throughout the year, I think Warren would be like the perfect, 50 appearances, 10 starts kind of guy.
I think we're also forgetting that Luis Cessa is still on the Yankees.
That's what I was trying to.
I just remember that. I'm like, okay,
who's our emergency starter? Cessa?
Our emergency starter is Luis Cessa right now.
It's Luis Cessa starts another like Sunday afternoon rain delay game, whatever, for the Yankees. I am going to
Capuano 2.0.
Yeah.
I get so mad when I talk about Yankees.
The thing with Cessa, though, is like he has some games where he looks good. There was one game last year, I forget when it was, but he had like 8 strikeouts in 4 innings or something, and he didn't give up a run, and he looked good. And you can see he actually has some decent stuff. And then he'll go out and give up 4 runs in a third of an inning, and he's just getting pounded, and he doesn't look good. For the most part, he's not that good of a pitcher. He's like Pineda, where you can see he has potential, but he just does not use it.
Yeah, Luis Cessa has a year-round pass to the Scranton shuttle. Like I can't stand Cessa. That's the thing. I'd much rather see Warren take those emergency starts when they're needed, rather than Cessa, or rather than look. I would love to see Sheffield, but I don't know. At this point, I don't think just bringing up Sheffield in the middle of the year is just.
I would think they would have Adams before Sheffield, just because Sheffield's going to be pitching in Double-A.
I'm convinced at this point that Chance Adams is going to be in the Yankees minor league system when he's like 38 years old. Because, like once they had Caleb Smith start over him, I was like, all right, I guess Chance Adams sucks, because if they have Caleb Smith pitch today?
Yeah, he gave up 4 runs in the first inning. No big deal.
I'm glad I was driving during that. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the Yankees until it's almost one of those things where until it happens, like I don't think Justice Sheffield and Chance Adams are going to start a game pitching for the Yankees anytime soon.
They have other options, like you said. They have Cessa. They could go to someone like Warren or Green, so they don't necessarily have to go to Sheffield or Adams.
No, I'm just saying, like, I would much rather, like, because you said Cessa, and I said, the fact that they have Cessa and Caleb Smith starting over Sheffield Adams, it just boggles my mind. It's like, wait, are you saying these 2 guys are more ready than these 2 guys? Look, I get you probably value these 2 guys more than Cessa and Smith, but it's at some point you just want to see guys get a chance. But AC, we haven't gotten your thoughts on the Warren man, Adam Warren.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I kind of shared my opinion on him earlier. I think he's got good stuff. I think, like what you said, I think he could be used in a trade piece before the deadline if need be. But I was looking up at his numbers. 2015 started 17 games, threw 130 innings, had a WHIP of 1.16. I mean, he was effective. And so I think he's a guy that probably won't see a lot of starts, but I think if somebody's going to get a spot start, they might throw him for 4 or 5 innings, kind of like what the Jays did with Biagini or whatever his name is. Just kind of a guy that, again, you can stretch out, you can throw him more innings if need be. But he's not going to light up the radar gun. He's not going to shock you with his incredible breaking ball, but he gets the job done. Like you said, a WHIP of 0.87 last season. That's ridiculous. So I think his role is probably going to be, if a guy like if anyone in the rotation gets to a high pitch count, it's only the fourth, fifth inning, but we're still somewhat in the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them throw Warren out there for 2, maybe even 3 innings. And then again, if we're in a situation where you're starting to see a lot more teams go into a 6-man rotation, if maybe Warren hasn't gotten a lot of work out of the pen because, again, it's such a deep bullpen, and we're in a situation where maybe we're trying to give, Severino Tanaka a little more rest, we might throw Warren out there for maybe 4 or 5 innings and then piece it together with the bullpen from there on out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get maybe a handful of starts this season. Again, just because of the depth of this bullpen. But also, I wouldn't be surprised to see him gone by the end of July too. But I mean, he's a guy. As long as he's been in New York, he's had success. He actually in Chicago's ERA was almost 6 in the 35 innings he threw for them. I think 2 years ago. But in Pinstripes, he's actually thrown the ball really well.
Yeah, that is funny how he's been pretty solid, pretty consistent his whole 6 years as a Yankee, but that 1 year in Chicago, he was really bad. And he just got him right back. And he's here he is now. But so let's see, over and under for Adam Warren. I'm gonna go with over and under 50 appearances this year. Now, a little context, he had in 2016 a total of 58. And last year he had 46 appearances. So over and under 50 appearances for Adam Warren in 2018.
I'm going to say over. Just because last year he had 46 and he missed a lot of time. Not a lot of time. He missed a few weeks with, I forget what injury it was. But I can see him pretty much in the role that he was in last year. And if he can go the whole year without getting injured, he definitely would be able to get over 50 appearances with that.
Yeah, definitely going to go with the over. I think if he gets a couple starts in there, again, I think they're going to use him a lot out of the bullpen. I definitely think he'll get over that.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly over as well because I think him and Green are both going to be above north of 60 appearances this year. I think they're going to be used, and I feel like there's not going to be many Yankee games where either Green or Warren aren't used. Like it's going to be like one of those things where only an X amount of games are played with the Yankees where one of these 2 guys wasn't used. But yeah, I'll go over for Warren. I think he's going to have another solid, consistent year. I don't think he's going to repeat that .87 whip though. That was a career best for him. That's the first time he was actually ever under 1 for a season, and he did it in style. And something that really flew under the radar. You wouldn't expect that from him, but just a really good, solid pitcher. So those are the 3 Pinstripe previews for the show. I have to go back and see which ones we haven't done because we only have like a few left, but there's definitely still a few good ones to do. Now we're going to end the show with, we previewed the Indians last week. Just went through them, a little like 10, 15 minute preview. Now this week, we're going to do the team that knocked out the Yanks last year in the ALCS. And look, it was a great series last year. It felt good for the Yankees to be in a meaningful postseason series once again, because it felt like it'd been so long. The Houston Astros, team that defending World Series champs, just really you hate to say it, they're just a phenomenal team. I mean, that infield, I think they have the best infield in baseball. Them adding Verlander last year and Verlander just turning back the clock was just freaking unbelievable. I mean, he was just phenomenal for them. I mean, he only had like 6-7 starts during the regular season for him, but I mean, he was just lights out, like prime vintage Verlander. This Astros team, they're going to be a thorn in the side to the Yanks for quite a bit. It really might turn into the Yankees versus the Astros in the ALCS for the next 4 or 5 years, especially with all the youth. I mean, you got guys like Correa, you got guys like Bregman. I mean, these guys are so young. These guys are like friggin' my age, and they're producing, and they're friggin' winning World Series for the Astros. So, what do you guys think that the Astros take a step forward, take a step back, or just they're the same dominant juggernaut that they were last year?
I'm thinking they're just basically going to be the same. Yeah. I mean, they got Garrett Cole, who could be very good addition for them, or it could basically just be the
I was
same.
about to say, like, the reason why I suggested Cole, like us getting Cole, because I just have a feeling that Cole is just going to be really bad for them. And if Cole is just like, I don't know, for Garrett Cole, he's either going to be, an all-star, or he's either going to be on the trade block, because
They're
like,
just going to DFA him.
yeah, like there's just no in between. But yeah, them adding Garrett Cole is a big move. I think they had him listed as like the number 3 guy behind Verlander and Keuchel, and I don't know. I think that McCullers might still be more trusted in that rotation than him. But do you guys think that the Astros, it just because the Yankees could not hit in Houston for the life of them last year in that series. They hit fine in the stadium, but they could just not hit in Houston. And when you look at the Astros rotation, it really doesn't. Look, the starting rotation with Keuchel and Verlander, when those 2 guys are on, you're probably losing both games. Like that, that's always tough. But that bullpen just doesn't scare me. What do you guys think of the Astros rotation and
their rotation's phenomenal?
I was about to say their pitching staff in general.
The rotation is really good with Keuchel and Verlander, and McCullers. As much as I really do not like him, he really has a lot of potential, and he could be really good. Cole has been good for some time. He wasn't great last year, but he could be pretty good. And then they have Charlie Morton, who somehow became actually pretty decent last year, except for the one game against the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, I think the rotation could be really good. Like basically on par, if not better than the Yankees rotation. Their bullpen, on the other hand, though, is really just very mediocre.
Yeah, that's what I was mainly getting at. Like, yeah, look, when you have 2 guys in your rotation like Keuchel and Verlander, it doesn't matter if you have nobody as your 3 and 4 and 5 guys. Like those 2 guys can get you 2 wins if they're on.
Exactly.
But yeah, like the bullpen, you got Ken Giles as the closer, a few other names you recognize in there, but really no one that just hops out.
It's like Giles, and then they have Davinsky.
Like Rondon scared me like a few years ago, not anymore.
Yeah.
Like Peacock.
I don't
you almost want to come in the game. Like, yeah, I really say to myself, damn, like how did this pitching staff shut down the Yankees last year? But
during the ALCS, it was the Astros did not want to go to their bullpen because their bullpen was so bad. I mean, you think about, I don't remember how much the bullpen pitched in the first 2 games in Houston, but I know that Keuchel and Verlander pitched deep into the game. And then once you get into when they're playing at Yankee Stadium, the Astros bullpen completely blew Game 4, and they weren't very good in Game 5. And I want to say Game 3 they weren't good either. So for the most part, it's just like the bullpen can be good, but it can also implode like it did during the ALCS.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the Astros pitching, Verlander, when he was last season in Detroit, through 170 innings, had an ERA of 3.8, and then somehow found the fountain of youth and had a big, 5-6 starts with Houston and going into the playoff. What's that?
I think he had like a 1.5 ERA and like 5 or 6 starts with them.
Right.
Season.
So I think that maybe some of that, and he's pitching, and he's got a great lineup. Obviously, it takes a lot of pressure off of him. But I'm obviously, as a Yankees fan, I'm hoping he kind of reverts back to that first half that he had with Detroit last season. And then you look at the rest of the rotate. You got Keuchel, who's potentially injury problems. You got Cole, who he's had his fair share of injuries. Last year he threw 200 innings, had an ERA over 4, and that's in the the National League Central. Obviously, you come to the American League, and it's a whole different ball game. Throwing to a DH, not having to throw to pitchers, and so I wouldn't be surprised if his ERA hovers, over 3.5, 3.8, maybe even a 4. Then you've got McCullers. He's had some injury problems. So a lot of question marks in their rotation. Obviously, if everybody's on and everybody's healthy, it's a scary, scary team. Probably the biggest threat to the Yankees in the American League, I think, undoubtedly. Bullpen, obviously, there's some question marks there. But if they have issues with injuries, then obviously there's going to be some issues there. If Verlander throws like he did, and it was so strange too, because with Verlander, it kind of seemed like, okay, this is a guy, he's kind of on his way out. And then I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, he started to look like the Justin Verlander of old, hitting 98 in the 8th inning and just kind of pitching out of his mind. So it's definitely a lot of potential there. Scary to think what they can accomplish. But the bullpen's definitely going to be their Achilles heel this season.
Yeah, the thing that I'm not scared about the Astros rotation, because really I don't think that Verlander can do what he did last year. Like there's a less than a 10% chance that we see that same Justin Verlander in the 2018 postseason. Like it could happen. And, AC, when you were talking about Verlander, you say, I don't know what happened. It seems like you were implying steroids, which, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Hey, Kate Upton, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gotten some. Never mind. But the thing that scares me about the Astros is, man, like they don't have like that one hitter in your lineup. They're solid 1 through 9. I mean, even guys like Yuri Gurriel, the most racist player in baseball, who was able to participate in the team's first 5 games, which is a joke by the MLB, by the way, that they didn't they suspended him, but they waited till like the first 5 games of the regular season.
Yeah, that made no sense at all.
Showed him, wow, that's like, imagine that. Imagine getting suspended, like getting in trouble before a championship game, and then being like, oh, well, you're going to play in this game, but next season, those first 3 games of the year, you're not playing in them. I'd be so
MLB's
awesome.
justification for that was they said they didn't want to affect the entire team.
The outcome.
Yeah. Which is really stupid, because what he did, it should have affected the entire team.
Yeah,
that should have been his punishment.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, man. Man. Like, we all like to joke around. There's no room for that shit in baseball. Like, that was awful. Wasn't that during Game 5? During that great game.
I want to say it was either Game 5 or Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say if it was Game 5.
No, it was whatever game Darvish started, actually.
It was 4, because didn't Darvish throw 7?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it
was 4. But that was such a great series. So many people were watching that series, and for something like that to happen, it really was just annoying. But anyways, enough of my Yuri Gurriel rant. Yeah, the Astros just 1 through 9. They're just so good. I mean, even a guy like Josh Reddick is just. You get by Springer, you get by Correa, you get by Bregman, and then there's Josh Reddick, who hit 300 last year. So
I don't think Reddick can do that again, though.
Oh no, I don't think so either. But just the fact that he was at 314 last year, almost 500 at bats, just ridiculous. And then Marwin Gonzalez, and of course the AL MVP and Jorge, whatever the hell is
Jorge Altuve.
Look, the Astros. Look, it's. We're gonna have to go through the Astros. It's pretty simple. Unless somebody just takes them out in the ALDS, which I really don't see happening. Because to be honest, I don't see any teams on the level in the AL of the Yankees, Indians, or Astros. You see, like we were gonna do a lot.
Anyone taking out the Indians last year, though?
Yeah, that's a good point, but just the Ash. I think it's safe to say that. The Indians more so just got like that streak they won on was just ridiculous. Like, they're not going to go. I think it's safe to say they're not going to win that many games in a row again.
I don't think so.
I'm going to put my money on saying no, but so you could almost look at the Indians win loss. I think they won 102 games last year. That was almost a bit inflated, right, because of that win streak. So I think the Astros are a much more talented team than Cleveland. It's like, look, man, like if you follow, like the Astros are the type of team that if you like really into baseball scouting and following these guys, the Astros just make you drool because guys like Alex Bregman and Carlos Correa were some of the best prospects you've seen coming up. And now that it seems like just yesterday that Alex Bregman was just a prospect. And, he was just like in college and just now he's on the Astros and very good along with the rest of their team. So you guys think that the Yankees have – I'm not going to say have a shot because we were friggin' one game away from winning that series last year. But do you think the Yankees have an upper hand over the Astros this year? Like, are the Yankees a better team than the Astros right now? Or are the Astros better than them?
I'd say they're about even, honestly. I would say the Yankees' biggest advantage is their bullpen.
Absolutely.
And then the lineups are about even, I'd say. And the Astros could have a bit of advantage with their rotation just because of, like we've been saying for the last like half an hour, of Keuchel and Verlander really could just be shut down aces the entire year. And that's not to say like Severino and Tanaka and Gray won't be, but I think
it's like, hey, we got 2 Cy Young winners over there, and we got none over here.
Exactly. Like it's just thinking about Keuchel and Verlander and their track record. You can see them just having 2.3 ERA seasons, both at the top of the Astros rotation, and having Tanaka, who had a 4.7 ERA last year, and Sevy, who's only had one good year. It's a lot harder to see that. But I think it could go either way as to like which team is better. But for the most part, I think they're pretty much even right now.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind before I get started here, the Astros are they're right there with the Houston Astros as far as my least. I'm sorry, they're right there with the Boston Red Sox as far as my least favorite teams in all of baseball. So excuse any bias that might take place here. But I think the Yankees, obviously they took Houston to 7 games. You look at their team now, sure, Houston added Garrett Cole. The Yankees added the National League MVP. I think that puts us over the hump. I think the Yankees are the better team. I do. I think the American League championship series is going to come down to those 2 teams once again. And, obviously I hope the Yankees come out on top. I think we've got a better lineup, kind of like Alex said. I think as far as the pitching goes, you may give them the edge, but it's very close. And, yeah, Keuchel and Verlander, Cy Young awards. But Severino's right there. I mean, last year was really his first full season. If Tanaka throws like he did 2 years ago, I mean, that's obviously, unhittable. And then you've got Gray, obviously, who put up some pretty gaudy numbers at times in a pretty bad club like Oakland. So I think the Yankees have a slight edge, after acquiring a guy like Stanton. But ultimately, I certainly would not be shocked to see those 2 teams meet again in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Astros, comparing the Astros lineup and the Yankees lineup, it's tough because the Yankees lineup definitely has more power, right? Between Sanchez, I think if you had to list the best power hitters on both rosters, I think the first 3 names would be Stanton, Judge, and Gary, easily.
Yeah,
but
easily,
in terms of just overall hitters, got like guys like Correa and out there, just so many good stuff. Like the Astros they might have like 6 or 7 guys that could hit above 280. And I'm not sure if the Yankees have that. So I would put the Astros lineup just ahead of the Yankees lineup, but it is close. But the Astros last year, get this, they went 53-28 on the road.
Wow,
that's really impressive. Man.
That's really impressive. Yeah,
they only went 48-33 at home. So yeah,
that's one thing to look for because I don't know whether they can sustain that success on the road this year. So if they regress more to 500 on the road and have the same record at home, that could really impact them.
Yeah, and just a little bit of context. Last year, the Astros did have 7 guys hit over 280. Springer, Bregman, Gurriel, Gonzalez, Reddick, Correa, Altuve all hit above 280.
Didn't they also have like 7 guys who hit more than like 15 home runs or something? It was
Well,
like
when your left
something
field
insane like
fence is
that.
220 feet away from home plate.
There you go.
Yeah, they just Astros are a great team. Definitely going to be really. I really could see the Yankees and Astros just matching up in the ALCS for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's crazy the gap. I feel like there's just such a gap between those two. I'll still put the Indians there because I still have a lot of respect for the Indians. I think they're actually going to have like a really good bounce back year.
Yeah, the Indians are definitely going to be winning the AL Central.
Yeah, I forget, I don't know who it was, but someone said that I think the Twins are going to win the AL Central, and I think the Twins last year was just like kind of a fluke. I think that they're going to kind of regress to the mean.
I think that the Twins will be good. I don't know whether they'll be good enough to even come close to the Indians, but they have a lot of good players, and they got some good guys off of free agency. Like they got Morrison. And they got Odorizzi, and they got
they got the guy that should have been in the home run derby.
Yes, over Sanchez. No, they got Odorizzi, they got Lance Lynn. So I think they'll be decent. They'll probably contend for a wild card spot again.
I think with Cleveland, the biggest question mark, as crazy as it sounds, is going to be that rotation. Because Kluber, I mean, we all know what he's got. Carrasco had a good season. Then outside of that, I mean, you got Bauer, who's very inconsistent. You've got Tomlin. You've got Salazar, who is hurt all the time or he's inconsistent. When he's on, he's very good, but you never know what you're going to get with him. And then Clevenger, obviously. So it's a very inconsistent rotation. Brantley, you never know. I mean, I think I think I heard he's hurt again. He had ankle surgery or something like that.
Sounds about right.
Probably, yeah.
And then Kipnis, I mean, he's not exactly the offensive guy that he used to be. Obviously, you've got Lindor and Ramirez on the left side of the infield. They're very good. I think I think everybody in the BBB, for the most part, thought that Alonso kind of overachieved last year in Oakland. And so I'm not sure what you're going to get out of him. Perez, obviously, they lost Santana to the to Philadelphia. And
that's going to be a big blow to them, I think.
Right. And so I don't know. I feel like with Cleveland, there's a lot of question marks. I certainly think the two powers atop the American League is the Yankees, the Astros, and then who knows from there. But I definitely think Cleveland's got some question marks to answer.
And yeah, we're gonna do because we did the Astros, we did the Indians, and we're gonna do the Red Sox along with the big preview show because we feel like they're important enough to do that, right? But I just don't think the Red Sox are anywhere close to the level that the Astros, Yankees, or Indians are.
No,
I really don't because I mean I don't know, like guys like Benintendi and like that Red Sox lineup, a lot of those guys just underwhelm me. And then especially there's the main thing with the Red Sox for me is this. It's the fact that their ace just sucks post-August. Like, hey man, that's not good. Like, you don't want that out of your ace. Because with Sale's like friggin' 170 pounds. I mean, the guy I don't think is just physically able to be as dominant all year.
Well, and even they have Sale
last year.
They have Sale, and then who else is a given in the rotation?
I wasn't exactly. I wasn't even going to get into the X amount of I don't even know what his contract is, but the $200 million man, David Price. He's
$30 million reliever.
Yeah, like he's another story. I'm glad you guys found Red Sox. I'm glad you guys found a reliever. Like LDS. I said, well, wow, he is a great reliever. Sucks that he's going to pay $31. Yeah, go ahead, AC.
Well, I was just going to say on Chris Sale, kind of to your point, over the last 3 years, obviously we know the caliber pitcher he is in August. His ERA is 3.45, September 4.15, October 4.5. That's over the last 3 years. So yeah, to your point, he struggles a lot that second half of the season.
Yeah, he just breaks down. He just slowly but surely just loses steam. But yeah, that's our show. It was a good show, guys. There's a lot of talk about. there's always a lot happening in the world of the Yankees. Anything else, guys?
Well, Cincinnati just blew a 22-point lead.
Yeah,
Nevada.
I saw that, man. They were up big, and Nevada came back and won it. Man, March Madness, man, it's my favorite tournament in all of sports, man. There's just nothing like it, man. It's just incredible. Those the first like 2 days of March Madness, because don't get me wrong, the games, the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and all that are great. But those first 2 days when you literally could just sit in front of your couch from noon to 1 a.m. and just watch basketball, it's great. It should be a national holiday.
I agree.
It should be, everyone should have off of work. The boss button still cracks me up. If you go on the March Madness live stream and you just press the boss button, and it just has so many different options for just fake spreadsheets and shit. I love it. I really do. It's
and that's why we're explicit on iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. But because I just remember as a kid, just being in school and like trying to get the tournament games up and saying, "Oh man, how am I gonna, when my teacher comes over, how am I gonna do this?" And now, thanks to the boss button, there's just no worries of that for all you whippersnappers out there. So for Luigi, for Alex, for AC, this is the Bronx Bomber Babble podcast. And boys, anything else?
Subscribe.
Eaters.
Eaters.